Confidence is not loud. It's not in the handshake that crushes bones, the forced smile, or the endless chatter meant to fill silence. True confidence is stillness, the ability to sit in a room and not need to prove a thing. And when the world expects you to react, you don't. That, my friend, is nonchalance, the trait that separates the truly powerful from the desperate pretenders. The powerful know that attention is a currency. Every reaction you give, every flash of emotion, every ounce of visible effort is a withdrawal. The nonchalant man hoards this currency. He does not chase. He does not justify. He does not over-explain. He makes the world work for his time, his words, his approval. Nonchalance is not laziness. It is a calculated weapon, a signal that says, I am untouchable, and nothing you do can pull me from my center. It frustrates rivals. It seduces allies. It makes enemies swing wildly in desperation while you remain unmoved. Machiavelli would call it the quiet mask of dominance. Power so controlled, it doesn't need to roar. And once you learn to wear it, people will stop testing you and start fearing you. Nonchalance is more than calmness. It is controlled detachment. The ability to step outside the emotional storms that trap everyone else and observe the battlefield from above. Most people are reactive by nature. They respond instantly to every threat, insult, or temptation because silence feels unbearable to them. They need to do something to feel in control. That's why nonchalance is so unsettling. It denies them the game they're used to playing. Think about it. The person who is loud, visibly emotional, or overly expressive is easy to read. Their moves can be predicted, their weaknesses exploited. But the one who shows nothing? That's dangerous. It forces everyone around them into uncertainty, and uncertainty breeds fear. Machiavelli wrote that a ruler should always appear unshaken, whether the kingdom is thriving or collapsing. The appearance of stability is itself a form of power, because perception shapes reality. If people believe you are unmovable, they will act as if you are. Nonchalance turns your very presence into a weapon. You don't even need to take action. Your lack of action is the strike. It leaves others wondering, are they confident? Are they dangerous? Are they planning something I can't see? Here's the psychological trap. People hate the unknown. The human brain craves patterns, cause and effect, predictability. When you give them nothing, no tells, no clues, no visible reaction, they start filling the blanks with their own fears. Suddenly, you become larger than life in their mind, more intelligent, more capable, more dangerous than you might even be in reality. This is why the best negotiators, leaders, and power players in history practiced nonchalance. They knew that the one who stays calm longest wins, not because they have all the answers, but because they force others to act under pressure. And the first person to move under pressure is almost always the one who makes the fatal mistake. Nonchalance also protects you from manipulation. The reason propaganda, insults, and emotional bait work on most people is simple. They react without thinking. They take the bait and reveal themselves. But the nonchalant man is immune to such traps. He watches the bait dangle, smiles inwardly, and does nothing, forcing the manipulator to waste their energy. Your nonchalance should never be confused with laziness. Laziness is passive weakness. Nonchalance is active control. It's not about avoiding action. It's about choosing the exact moment to act so that your move cannot be stopped. In the game of power, the impatient lose to the still lose to the patient, and the patient lose to the nonchalant. Because nonchalance is patience elevated to an art form, laced with psychological dominance. Look around you. In business, The one who doesn't rush into the deal often gets the best terms. In relationships, the one who can walk away without flinching gains the upper hand. In politics, the leader who stays composed during crisis earns the perception of strength, even if chaos is burning behind the curtain. Nonchalance works because it flips the dynamic. Instead of chasing approval, you make others seek yours. Instead of scrambling for position, you let others fight for the space you already control. And once people start working for your attention, your respect, or your acceptance, you own the pace of the game. You decide when the conversation happens, how it happens, and whether it happens at all. That is control. That is power. Nonchalance is more than a personal shield. It is a weapon that bends the psychology of others without a single word. To understand its full power, you must step into the minds of those who witness it. When you master nonchalance, you are no longer just a participant in social dynamics. You become the silent judge, the one who controls the temperature of the room. And people feel it. First, it creates uncertainty. Humans crave emotional feedback as proof of their value, their influence, or their control. When someone is angry, they want to see fear. When someone is proud, they want to see admiration. When someone is trying to provoke you, they want to see you react. But your nonchalance denies them this fuel. It leaves them suspended in psychological limbo, unsure whether they have reached you or failed entirely. This lack of confirmation drives people deeper into overthinking, and overthinking is where they make mistakes. Second, it triggers respect, even from enemies. The human brain instinctively associates composure with competence. If you do not panic in crisis, you are seen as capable. If you do not rush to defend yourself when attacked, you are seen as confident in your own position. Nonchalance communicates that you are in control of your emotions, and therefore in control of the situation. It doesn't matter if this is true. Perception becomes reality, and you suddenly become the gravitational center others orbit around. Third, it disorients manipulators. People who thrive on emotional games rely on you to play your role, to get angry, to become defensive, to explain yourself. Your nonchalance breaks the script. They are actors standing on a stage, waiting for their cue, and you simply refuse to deliver it. The longer you maintain this composure, the more their strategy unravels. They grow frustrated, reckless, and sloppy, exposing weaknesses you can exploit at your leisure. Fourth, it creates an aura of mystery. Humans are addicted to filling in the blanks. If you react loudly, they know your emotional state. They can categorize you. But when you remain calm, detached, and seemingly unshaken, they must guess, and most will guess wrong. They will project power, intelligence, and hidden motives onto you, sometimes giving you more credit than you deserve. This mystique makes you harder to challenge directly. Fifth, it turns pressure into leverage. In tense negotiations, arguments, or confrontations, people expect escalation. They are prepared to fight emotion with emotion. But when you do not rise to the bait, the balance shifts. They begin to question their own tactics. They wonder if they have misjudged you, if they are in danger of overcommitting, or if they are walking into a trap. Your calmness acts like a mirror, forcing them to confront their own instability. Finally, it changes the hierarchy without words. In any group, the one who controls their emotions better often controls the group itself. By staying composed while others react, you silently position yourself above them. This is why nonchalance was prized by emperors, diplomats, and ruthless leaders. They understood that the man who appears least affected often appears the most powerful. The psychological effects of nonchalance compound over time. Each interaction builds your reputation as someone who cannot be easily rattled, persuaded, or broken. People will test you less, challenge you less, and seek your approval more, because they sense that you are playing a longer, colder game than they are. You are no longer just a participant in human drama. You are the one writing the script, deciding which roles others will play. But here lies the final twist. The true power of nonchalance is not in how others see you. It's in how you begin to see yourself. When you train your mind to remain calm under fire, you stop living in reaction to the world. You stop letting chaos dictate your pace. And in a world addicted to noise, nothing is more dangerous than a mind that cannot be provoked. Nonchalance is not an act. It is an armor. It is the silent announcement that nothing can rattle you. Nothing can force your hand, and nothing is urgent unless you decide it is. But this is not a gift from birth. It must be trained, forged under pressure, and polished until it becomes second nature. The untrained pretend to be calm. The trained become calm because they are in control of their reactions. The training begins with your relationship to urgency. Most people live as slaves to the clock, jerking forward at every ping, message, or demand. The nonchalant man does not respond to the world's tempo. He sets it. This is the first mental rewrite you must perform. Nothing is as urgent as people make it seem. Delay your responses. Pause before you react. When you slow down, you starve the chaos around you. People begin to adjust their pace to yours, even without realizing it. Next, you must master the art of the unmoved face. The majority leak emotions without knowing. Twitches, raised brows, tightened lips, widened eyes. These betray you. The world learns your weaknesses by watching your micro-reactions. To train out of this, you must practice remaining still under discomfort. Imagine sitting across from someone who insults you directly. Your heart rate climbs, your breath shortens, but your expression remains unchanged. This is the discipline of emotional opacity. You give the world no clue as to whether it has reached you. But being nonchalant is not just about stillness. It is about controlled energy. The truly confident are not statues. They move, speak, and act with a rhythm that says, "I have more time than you." You don't rush to speak. You let silence hang like a weapon, making others fill it with their nervous chatter. You don't rush to act. You calculate, observe, and choose your moment. The result is magnetic. People start to wait for your words, your approval, your move. The greatest enemy of nonchalance is overexposure. If you are constantly present, constantly available, your aura collapses. The less people see you, the more they will value your presence when you appear. Train yourself to withdraw strategically, not in a sulking, obvious way, but in a manner that seems effortless. A short message instead of a long one, leaving an event early without explanation, declining invitations without justification. You create the impression that you have more important things to do, even if your only plan is to read in solitude. Another essential training ground is your reaction to loss. Anyone can appear calm when they win. The true test is when you are denied something you wanted, when an outcome turns against you. Most people lash out or sulk. You must do neither. Accept the setback with the same calm you would accept a win. This does not mean you don't feel the sting. It means you never allow the world to see it. Behind closed doors, you may plot your return, but in public, your composure remains unbroken. Your speech must also be disciplined. Those who talk too much are easy to read, easy to provoke, easy to predict. Nonchalance thrives in brevity. Say only what needs to be said, and deliver it in a tone that is neither rushed nor strained. This forces people to read between the lines, to guess at what you truly mean. That guesswork creates the perception of depth and control. And above all, understand this. Nonchalance is not about pretending you don't care. It's about caring selectively. You are not indifferent to everything. You are simply immune to anything that does not deserve your energy. People who truly understand power know that attention is currency, and they spend it like gold. Waste it on nothing. Invest it where it returns influence. When this training is complete, you will notice the shift. People will begin to treat you differently without knowing why. They will lower their voices when they speak to you, measure their words, even hesitate before making requests. This is because nonchalance is a silent display of dominance. It tells the world you cannot be rushed, shaken, or manipulated. You have made yourself untouchable. That is the end goal. Not just looking unbothered, but being unbothered because you are truly in control. And once you reach that point, others will realize they can no longer push you into the frantic rhythm of the weak. Instead, they will be forced to dance to the slow, deliberate music you choose to play. Nonchalance, in its raw form, is simply the absence of visible concern. But when refined and sharpened, it becomes a weapon. It can disarm rivals, unsettle enemies, and even seduce allies into lowering their guard. This is because human beings are conditioned to chase validation and react to emotional cues. When you remove those cues, you deny them the script they expect to follow. You create uncertainty, and uncertainty is power. In politics, war, and business alike, the most dangerous figures are not the loud, aggressive ones. They are the calm, collected individuals who never seem rattled, no matter the stakes. Their composure forces everyone else to question themselves. Why aren't they worried? What do they know that I don't? This psychological imbalance puts you in control without lifting a finger. Weaponizing nonchalance begins with the understanding that perception is reality. The way you react, or don't react, dictates how others interpret your position. A leader who appears desperate invites manipulation. A negotiator who flinches invites low offers. A person who visibly craves approval hands over their power. But a figure who remains serenely unshaken in moments of chaos sends a silent message. I am in control. I decide the pace. I decide the outcome. Consider the duelists of history, not the ones with swords, but the ones who fought with presence. The greatest statesmen and tacticians knew how to project composure under pressure. When others lashed out emotionally, they stood still. When rumors spread, they neither confirmed nor denied, letting uncertainty grow. This restraint was not weakness. It was the silent tightening of a noose. You can employ the same method in your daily battles. When someone tries to provoke you, don't match their energy. Let their anger burn alone, making them look unstable while you remain calm. When someone demands an immediate answer, take your time. Silence can be a far sharper blade than words. The less you react, the more they reveal themselves. Nonchalance also bends attraction in your favor. In power dynamics, people are drawn to what they cannot fully possess or predict. If you show constant eagerness, they see your value as fixed and available. But if you maintain an air of selective detachment, you become a puzzle. People chase puzzles because they want to solve them, and in that chase, they place themselves in your orbit. However, weaponizing nonchalance requires discipline. Many fail because they confuse it with laziness or indifference. True nonchalance is active. It demands awareness, timing, and control. You must constantly read the room, sense emotional shifts, and decide when to hold back and when to strike. If you remain distant all the time, you risk appearing cold or irrelevant. If you reveal too much, you dissolve the mystery. The power lies in the balance. There is also an offensive side to nonchalance, the ability to set traps. By appearing disengaged in certain areas, you invite others to underestimate you. They relax, they overextend, they expose their vulnerabilities. And when they are most certain they have the advantage, you move. In politics, this might mean letting a rival believe they are winning, only to pull a decisive maneuver at the last moment. In personal negotiations, it might mean allowing someone to think you're indifferent to a deal, until you push for terms entirely in your favor. The danger of visible ambition is that it alerts others to your plans. Nonchalance hides your hunger behind a veil of calm. It conceals your intentions until it's too late for the other side to mount a defense. This is why the most successful power players are often underestimated in the beginning. They know how to seem detached while quietly setting the board in their favor. To master this, you must train not only your outward expression, but your inner dialogue. If you are seething with frustration internally, it will eventually leak through. The real art is to genuinely detach from the outcome while still pursuing it with precision. This is not apathy. It is controlled intent. You move toward your goals without needing constant external reassurance. That is the posture of a ruler, not a subject. When your nonchalance is authentic, it will be impossible for others to rattle you. Competitors will grow frustrated. Negotiators will grow cautious. Admirers will grow obsessed. You will dictate the rhythm of every interaction, and those who wish to engage with you will have no choice but to match your pace. In a world of emotional outbursts and desperate posturing, the one who can sit in silence, watch, and wait holds the deadliest advantage. Your calm will be mistaken for weakness until the day you use it as the perfect cover for a decisive strike. That is when they will understand too late. Your stillness was not peace. It was the poised edge of a hidden blade. Nonchalance is a weapon, but like any blade, it can cut the wielder as easily as the target. You must understand its limits, or you will confuse control with apathy, confidence with arrogance, mastery with negligence. The world is filled with those who try to imitate the calm of true power, but end up drowning in their own performance. They forget that nonchalance is a tool, not a permanent state of mind. A soldier who never unsheathes his sword dies with it rusting in its scabbard. The first danger, misreading the moment. There are times when composure must give way to decisive action. Too much stillness in the face of opportunity is not power. It is paralysis. If the king hesitates to command in a crisis, his army will fracture. Your calm must be the surface of the water, not the depth of your soul. Beneath it, there must always be movement. The second danger, sliding into indifference. If your nonchalance becomes habitual, you risk losing your capacity for engagement. You will stop seeing the currents around you, and the game will pass you by. The strategist who ignores every move will one day wake to find the board flipped against him. In this sense, too much detachment can become a form of self-sabotage, making you blind to threats until they are at your throat. The third danger, provoking silent enemies. To appear too untouchable is to awaken resentment. There are those who can tolerate arrogance, but none who can tolerate the feeling of being invisible to you. If they believe you dismiss them entirely, they will not confront you openly. They will conspire in the shadows, where your composure cannot protect you. Remember, a calm face may win the battle of appearances, but it can also inspire the war you never see coming. The fourth danger, misusing it in personal bonds. Nonchalance works in politics, in negotiation, in the theater of public power. But when carried into close relationships, it corrodes trust. If people never see you moved, never see you bleed, they will doubt your loyalty and question your humanity. A ruler can be cold in counsel, but must be warm in moments that secure the loyalty of their most valuable allies. Power does not require you to be emotionally available. It requires you to know when to be. And finally, the danger of believing your own mask. The greatest risk of nonchalance is that it can detach you not just from others, but from yourself. If you wear the armor too long, you forget what it feels like to be without it. You become untouchable not because you are strong, but because you are hollow. The mask should be something you can take off at will, not something welded to your face. Machiavelli would tell you, power demands adaptability. If you are ice in winter, be fire in summer. If you are a statue in public, be a whisper in private. The deadliest players are not always those who look unshakable. They are those who choose when to look unshakable. Nonchalance at its peak is a performance. It is not about how you feel. It is about what others believe you feel. Once you start practicing it for yourself rather than for the audience, you have crossed into weakness. You have ceased to wield it. It now wields you. The final rule: stay unreadable, but never unresponsive. Stay composed, but never inert. Stay above the noise, but never so far above that you cannot hear the drumbeat of danger. Because the moment you forget that your calm is a weapon, it will become your coffin.